Oftentimes, understandably, nonprofits are looking for the major donor who might be able to keep the lights on or um, continue to allow programming to grow in a certain way. But there is significant value to cultivating a more diverse base of donors because they can positively inform and impact the work that you're doing, depending on the mission of your organization.
We have a CTA bias towards donate. And yet there is a much bigger opportunity, I think, for all nonprofits actually, to rethink that bias and say, how can we bring in audiences of all types and persuasions and perspectives to us to get to know us first? They may give down the line, but to have them involved in our group, supporting us with the petition, supporting us with their time, with their resources, is as, if not more important.
Could not agree more with diversifying your revenue stream. I love that you brought that up and definitely agree that strategy can be super effective.
And I often think a lot about political fundraising, where you can have like the people who totally self-fund and the reach of their campaigns versus those who are like, what's the distributed model of organizing that I can do so that I want to create an entry point for as many people into this space to cultivate as many perspectives that will inform my campaign. I think it's really similar in the nonprofit sector and something that at the center we definitely are trying to dig in more deeply around. But again, starts with asking who's here and who do we want to be here and how do we reach sort of the demographic that we don't see at the table but want to continue to engage.
I think what I have seen is purposely running inclusive marketing campaigns, right? Where audience is seeing ads and content that's diverse and inclusive. Like it's content that goes beyond the wink towards diversity, but it's actually relevant. That's really driven audience growth for us at UNICEF. When we've turned the spotlight onto our diverse group of supporters, not only in the US, but globally, we've seen increases in both donation intent and loyalty, which means retention.
What we've done, one, in terms of identifying our business objectives, is actually saying who's our target, right? And where does our target show up? Are we, in terms of like the center's advocacy work, we particularly center the needs and priorities of queer and trans people of color. Where are sort of those demographics engaging with our message? We started with one, asking folks. I think that oftentimes the data is influenced and biased by who's collecting it. And if you're not asking the question, then the data isn't getting collected. So we went straight to target communities and saying like, where are you? What do you want to hear? How does that look? What's the fastest way for you to engage? One thing I'll say just around particularly being relevant to the moment now that we're seeing with the spotlight on racial inequities and a lack of gender diversity in boards and in leadership and in how movements move, is in research that I've done, women and people of color are actually consistent givers once engaged. They may not have the highest, they might be giving you the $100,000 a year gift, but they might be the $15 a month for years and years and years.
When I was at Invisible Children, we launched a monthly giving program, and we did a lot of research around the science of giving. And what we had found was that $3 was the amount where most people just didn't think anything about. If you ask someone to give $3, they don't have to consider whether or not it's going to impact them, from a monthly expense perspective. So we launched this campaign, we called it Try, and asked everyone to give $3 a month, no more, no less. And nearly 10,000 people signed up to give $3 a month. It became over $1 million. It was several $1 million annual giving program. And it was by a bunch of high school and college students all over the country. And I think organizations who are top heavy on major gifts are going to have a harder time in recessions. These are the gifts that dry up. They're contingent on market activity. Whereas your lower dollar donor, these are individuals who give through recessions. Household giving went up 3% in 2008. So I think this is spot on with the way we should think about building up kind of the ground floor of our fundraising machine. It's tapping into individuals who obviously care about the cause, but can give at the rate that's comfortable for them. When I was fundraising at Liberty in North Korea, and the reason why we built this into the tool is because of my experience at Liberty North Korea. We had a donor giving $15 a month for 3 years. So this individual was super committed, but it was $15 a month. We didn't think too much of it. We did a round of wealth scanning, and we found, wow, this individual actually has a significant amount of capacity. We should try to understand why this person cares so much about our organization. So we went and ended up meeting and had a great conversation, and that individual now gives $100,000 a year to the organization. So I think like the role data can play in helping develop the relationship, right? It doesn't mean someone will give just because they have more capacity, but it does frame the way you interact and the types of things you may talk about or ask for from individuals if you have a better understanding of their capacity to give and what their overall propensity is.
You're just reinforcing the need to ask the question, not to make the assumptions, right? To ask, because I think many of us might look and say $15 a month, committed, that's amazing, and not think anything of it. And maybe that person's just been waiting to be engaged, right? Or doing research on the audience. So that's an awesome story. I love that.